This is the news in brief from the United Nations. The United Nations is calling for the release of leaders detained in the military coup in Sudan on Monday. Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and his cabinet were arrested after the army dissolved the transitional government and declared a state of emergency. Protests have broken out in the capital Khartoum, according to media reports. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres condemned the takeover in a post on Twitter and called for the Prime Minister and other officials to be released immediately. There must be full respect for the Constitutional Charter to protect the hard-won political transition, he wrote. Military and civilian leaders had been sharing power in Sudan, which has been on a path to democratic transition over the past 2 years, following the overthrow of former President Omar al-Bashir in April 2019. Volker Perthes, head of the UN political mission supporting the transition, UNITAMS, also condemned the coup. He issued a statement urging parties to exercise utmost restraint and called for an immediate return to dialogue and engagement. Meanwhile, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights warned the coup risks jeopardizing important progress made towards democracy and respect for human rights. In expressing her strong condemnation, UN Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet said it would be disastrous if Sudan goes backwards after finally bringing an end to decades of repressive dictatorship. What the country needs is to move forward and consolidate democracy, she added, something which the Sudanese people have expressed countless times before. Ms. Bachelet also called for internet and mobile services to be restored. She reminded military and security forces to refrain from unnecessary use of force and to respect the rights of freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. Moving to Afghanistan, where a record 22.8 million people, more than half the population, are facing acute hunger. That's according to the latest food security report released by humanitarian partners co-led by UN agencies, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, and the World Food Programme, WFP. Afghans have been severely affected by the combined impacts of drought, conflict, the COVID-19 pandemic, and economic crisis, they said. The report comes ahead of the harsh winter season, which threatens to cut off areas of the country where families depend on aid to survive the freezing months. To meet increasing needs, WFP says it will require as much as $220 million per month, while FAO is seeking $11.4 million in urgent funding for humanitarian response and a further $200 million for the agricultural season into 2022. Deanne Penn, UN News.